Friday on Get Up. Let's play a game of more or less looking ahead to this weekend. Hey, RC, Saquon Barkley against Detroit. More or less than 1.5 rushing touchdowns.
I think he's going to have more. Listen, we know what this defense is like in Detroit. We also know how much they love to give Saquon Barkley the ball in the red zone because it leads to the boot action by Daniel Jones. Saquon Barkley has absolutely, truly shown everybody that he's back this year, and this will just be another step in his season to maybe being Offensive Player of the Year.
Yes, I think he should be in the MVP conversation, but that's just me. Sacho, more or less, Lamar Jackson against Carolina, 180.5 passing yards.
I'm going to go less on this one. Lamar Jackson in this offense, they don't need to pass the ball to win. We've seen it over the last few weeks. Gus Edwards may be coming back as well. Offensively at receiver, you still got some guys who are injured, even tight end. We don't know if Mark Andrews is going to come back. And so I think this team, the Baltimore Ravens, will rely on their running attack to get a win. I say less than 180.5 passing yards.
Ninka, we've talked so much this week about Josh Allen. Will he throw more or less than 0.5 interceptions against the Browns? Meaning, will he throw one?
I'm going less. I don't think he'll throw one because of the fact last week he threw those red zone interceptions. This is a point of emphasis. Josh Allen knows that the fate of the team relies on him throwing the ball down the field. Take care of the football, and the Buffalo Bills will go far. So again, Josh Allen, no interceptions this week.
Well, we know where they're going this week. They're going to Detroit. That game has been moved, if you've not heard, with severe weather already underway in the area of Buffalo, New York, Orchard Park, New York, and it's only expected to get worse. Literally dangerous conditions over the next couple of days. So the game has been moved to Detroit. That means the Bills will play the Browns and the Lions both in Detroit over a 5-day span. They are there for Thanksgiving. And Brooke, I know you've been following this and talking to our Bills reporter there. They've canceled practice for today as well?
They did. Yep, they announced this morning practice is canceled. At this point, I believe they're still scheduled to travel tomorrow because they were trying to keep a normal travel schedule. But look, conditions are dangerous. They have, I believe, according to Apple Weather, they have about 8 inches of wintry mix right now, but more's on the way. And looking at the radar, they're just on the fringe of this storm. This goes beyond football. This area is going to get hit with a lot of snow. I am not an airline pilot, but I think that it's going to be really dangerous for them to try to get out of Buffalo, given how long they had to wait.
You know, we had an interesting conversation here this morning, Ninko and Sacho. We were talking about how for these players, okay, yeah, you go to Detroit, but your family is still back in your house, and maybe they lose power, and all these different things that become distractions. Those are obviously things that will weigh on the Bills players this week. We can deal with the football side of this. So, RC, if one were to say that a snow game, which lends itself to being a running game, might have actually favored Nick Chubb and the Browns, does it actually favor the Bills and what they want to do on the field that this game is being moved indoors?
Well, I believe it does. I mean, I think, though, it also helps the Cleveland Browns, too. It's not necessarily that it's just the juxtaposition of how these two teams run offense. It truly is. It's just difficult to play in wintry conditions like that. And you can think back a few years, anybody who is old as me, and think about when LaShawn McCoy went crazy in the snow, and I think it was like versus Detroit. And he seemed like the only person who actually had 7 studs in his cleats. It's just difficult to play in those type of conditions. It's difficult to even want to play when it's such blistering cold. And so I think it's just smart to move the game. But far as for the Buffalo Bills, you want an opportunity for Josh Allen to be able to throw the football. You want Stephon Diggs to be able to give you 3 stems, 4 releases, and 7 routes in one, and be able to stick his foot in the ground and run the comeback. So it surely favors the Buffalo Bills. I think the conditions of making sure you can protect Josh Allen while he's injured is also extremely important. And for the Buffalo Bills, it's about getting a win. I don't think they cared that they had to get a win in nasty weather or they had to get a win inside the dome. They understand the position that they're in right now, at least record-wise, being the 3rd best team in the AFC East. It's going to be about Josh Allen controlling the football, Josh Allen protecting the football, but Josh Allen continuing to stay aggressive, as we saw Tua Tagovailoa versus the Cleveland Browns last week. They could score upwards of 30 or 40 points if they protect the ball, and I think that's what they're going to want to do on the turf inside that dome.
Well, I don't think that Allen strikes me, and not that I know him well, but as a person whose confidence is going to be shaken by some of the struggles and some of the criticism that he has heard. But Sacho, has your confidence, whatever it was you perceived the Bills to be, after the last couple of weeks and all the turnovers and everything else, has your confidence in them been shaken?
It hasn't been shaken, but it's been stirred just a little bit, right? And part of the reason why is I still believe in Buffalo. I still believe in Josh Allen. I still believe in their defense. But some of the decision making is what I'm not pleased with. Over the last 2 games, 2 interceptions each game for the last 3 games. Over the last 4 games, 6 touchdowns, 6 picks. I think the difference here, Ken Dorsey is offensive coordinator and not Brian Daboll. Brian Daboll, I think, was able to reel back some of those picks and say, hey, let's make a different decision, a better decision, and let's make your good things even better. But now the good things are great, but the bad is still showing up wide open. And so I think that's an area where Ken Dorsey can grow. And even around this offense saying, hey, Josh Allen, let's try and change that decision making. We saw it change from his college time to now with Daboll, and now that Daboll's gone, there's been some downside.
Well, put the picks up on the screen. Regardless of where this game was being played, I'd be very surprised if everyone here wasn't riding with Buffalo, Ninko, as I come to you, and we'll see. They'll be up there in just a second, but spoiler alert, everybody likes Buffalo in this game. What are you expecting from them? Give me the Josh Allen numbers in this game this week.
Continuing to be Josh Allen and not changing his mentality. He's not going to, say, hey, I'm not going to try and score touchdown passes here in the red zone. He's going to try and score points just like they've been doing, but he's just got to be smarter in those goal-to-goal situations. Don't turn the ball over in the low red zone. But again, I really think that the travel could affect them a little bit, considering they're going to have to stay there and play on Thanksgiving, so they're not going to be coming home, or they will come home. I don't know what their travel schedule is going to be, but it's definitely messed up. I mean, you're not sleeping in your own bed and you're not in your routine. It can mess you up a little bit. It could kind of just drain the energy out of you.
I think at this moment they don't know, right? Is the only way to put it. The original plan was they were going to go back to Buffalo in between the games, but who knows if that's even going to wind up being reasonable.
That's the thing, because again, there's still going to be snow on the ground. It's not like this is going to melt overnight. That's got to be a factor. I think that we cannot forget about just the chaos factor of this game for the Bills. The Browns were going to travel regardless. Okay, now they're going to Detroit instead of Buffalo. You just reroute the plane a little bit, but that's going to be a factor. But to everyone's point here about Josh Allen, they've hitched their wagon to him. The wagon's going to get bumpy. Hold on to the reins like you might fly up in your seat a little bit, but settle down. There's a cushion. You'll be fine.
And this should be a week that he's able to get right, particularly playing indoors in the Dome. And just to finish the topic up with a smile, after the announcement that this game is being moved to Detroit, the Lions laid down some ground rules. This is from their Twitter account. Important numbers are by the phone. Lock up when you leave, and please don't break the tables. Those seem like reasonable requests from the team lending them a stadium. All right, as we roll on, the good feelings in Green Bay did not last long. What does the rest of the season look like for Aaron Rodgers and the Packers? We'll answer